Hey folks, today is Friday, August 23rd, 2024. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. Now, I am still in Germany for Gamescom. It's my first time, and it's like the biggest game convention I've ever seen. It's a lot of fun, and there was a lot of news from it. Specifically, we did opening night live. We covered all the announcements from that in like a top 10 roundup video. So if you want to check that out, that will be linked in the description down below if you want to get caught up. We're still going to talk Gamescom updates here, but all that major stuff going to be linked down there. Also, I got to meet quite a few of you guys out there, like some of you that actually watch this show. Thank you for saying hi. It was nice to meet and talk to a lot of you. You made my day. But we do got to jump into the news. The first thing is actually about video game graphics. Of course, we often start this show with like the shiny carrot on a stick. Ooh, look at these cool graphics. And that is the case today. Check out Black State. Now, we've talked about this game in the past. It's kind of like a third-person action stealth hybrid shooter. It looks a little generic. It seems like it's missing a little something, but damn is it pretty. And now they're partnering with Nvidia and doing a whole RTX showcase campaign thing. We got a new trailer revealing that, but we also just got a bunch of gameplay of this game, and it does still look really gorgeous. You know, I still can't tell how it's really gonna play or if there's really anything in terms of like charm to the characters or the world or anything like that, but yes, it is very gorgeous. They showcase a lot here. This is pushing RTX, all the lighting stuff to the limit, especially with showcasing the main character and gameplay on a ship in a storm, and also a museum. A very realistic looking museum. This is really cool. So if you do want to check out the full footage of this, it'll be linked in the description down below. I'm still really curious to see what's actually going to come of this game, but hey, I mean, now we know it has RTX, I guess. Next up, this is pretty interesting. This headline, or really this interview from a headline I wanted to bring up. This is from IGN. IGN did an interview with the developers behind the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. So press previews for that, some folks got their hands on it, and the word on the street is that it's shaping up to actually be a pretty good remaster, remix, whatever you want to call it, which is cool. So IGN did speak to the developers about the game, and it's a good interview. There's some good answers to some questions, but the end of the interview, IGN asked, is there a chance Capcom will go back and remaster other Dead Rising games, or perhaps consider developing a new entry altogether? And the development team said Capcom would like to continue to bring back many of its IPs. It then goes on to do like a very like corporate safe answer about like, we just want to focus on Dead Rising right now. But yes, the fact that they implied that that Capcom is interested in bringing back more of its IPs totally makes sense. But the mind can really wander. What could it be? What could they bring back? I know I've said this in the past. I might sound like a broken record at this point, but with the way things are in gaming right now, and you hear about a lot of layoffs and like stuff like that right now, and I think not even just video games, but movies too, companies are looking for safe bets, stuff that they know will do well. They don't want to as much and as often invest tons and tons of money in some weird new project that could completely flop. So they go back in their treasure chest of things in the past that worked really well for them, and that's how we get more sequels and remakes and stuff like that. So here, I get Capcom's doing it. They have been doing it already. They've been doing it for a while, so I don't expect them to stop. But if we're talking about what they could bring back, I'd love to know what you think, what you would like them to actually bring back. Maybe something a little older, maybe Beautiful Joe. There you go. Here's an idea, Capcom. Get on it. Now, in other news, Black Myth Wukong is like a mega hit. The developer and publisher announced just the other day that Black Myth Wukong hit 10 million units sold across all the platforms. That is big. That is a remarkably fast-selling game. It puts it up there in the upper echelon of top-selling games, and that's good. I think that's good for a multitude of reasons. I think there's a lot of reasons why this game has succeeded. Number one, it's just a good old-fashioned video game. It's not a live service thing. It's not a weird thing. It is a straightforward action-adventure game. You play it, you buy it, you finish it, you enjoy it. That's it. I think people are still hungry for those, and especially when they just hit right. Also, the fact that it's unique. While yes, it is technically based on a novel. That novel is a classical novel from hundreds of years ago. So this is its own unique thing. People are experiencing this new thing for the first time. Not to mention the fact that two other factors. It is very hyped up online for months, years now. So very highly anticipated. Not to mention China. there's a massive population in China, and apparently there's a lot of hype behind this game because it's a game based on some of their classical stories and mythology. So of course a lot of people were going to be hyped for that in China and go buy that. So it really seemed like it was a perfect storm for success, and good. Like I said, original game, just a regular old game, cool. Also, I don't usually do this, I'm not petty, but like I did the before you buy review video like a couple days ago, and I said it was good. I like the game. And some of you just were mad at me. Who's laughing now? I told you. I wanted to tell you. But anyway, let's move on. Next up, from Gamescom, since I am here, I've been able to go around and get my hands on some games and see some games running. You know, checking out some games, only 20-minute chunks, 30-minute chunks, an hour chunk here and there. So these aren't like reviews of games. I'm playing work-in-progress versions, but I figured I'd give you guys a little heads up of some of the heavy hitters you may have wanted to hear about. I got to play the first Berserker, Kazan. This is that cool, almost like cell-shaded, Code Vein styled, Souls-like style action game. It's got a beautiful art style, really cool mood and music, and it plays exactly like you would think. If you've seen the trailers, this is exactly what you're getting if you sign up for it. It is very, very challenging. I got my ass beat. It's got some very cool over-the-top abilities. It definitely needs some balancing in terms of like stamina and how some of that stuff works, but yes, it's a Souls-like but with a very unique style, and it is actually based on a property. It's something I didn't know about. I went into this totally blind, but I found it easy to understand, and I'm definitely looking to play more. Ben Starr does the voice of the main character. He was Clive from Final Fantasy 16, so yeah, good stuff, possibly. I also got to play Reanimal. This is from Tarsier Studios, the developers behind Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Now, of course, a different developer is working on Little Nightmares 3, so these guys are with THQ Nordic, and they're making a new thing, but they are very much sticking with what they know. You're still two little weird, creepy freaks walking around a spooky, haunted world. This one can be played cooperatively, and instead of it being in a world that is very fantastical, almost dark, creepy, whimsical, with these haunted, weird, grotesque people monsters around, now it's around grotesque, creepy, animalistic monsters, like a gross haunted sheep or an evil pig. And it's in a world that is decaying and crumbling, but it feels a little bit more familiar. It looks a little bit more like our own world, but still, it is that style. You are running, you're jumping, you're trying to escape from weird, horrible creatures. You're crouching and hiding. The camera shifts, the perspective changes. It looks like there is some co-op implementation where you guys got to help each other out. So it is, again, them sticking with quality over quantity as well. They told me they are not making this a massive 50-hour open world adventure. They know what they do right, and they're sticking with that. They're experimenting in new ways, like adding little bits of dialogue, but only where it makes sense and how it still feels true to what they make. So I am very interested in seeing more of this. Hey, next up, jumping over here to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Vessi. Vessi is a longtime sponsor of the channel, and if you don't know, they've been providing dependable, comfortable footwear for years. They have a variety of different shoes, shapes, colors, sizes for every type of person, but all of them are 100% waterproof. It doesn't feel like a waterproof shoe, though. It just feels like a totally normal shoe, and it lets you get a little more adventurous. I've loved wearing these things on hikes, getting muddy, getting out there, but when I'm just in the city chilling this summer, or maybe even heading to the beach, I'm rocking their newest kick, the Courtside Classic. Look at this. This is a court-inspired look that's fresh, but also a little tastefully old school at the same time. They got a couple of color variations, and I also really just like the different looking logo on the tongue. That's a cool touch. So if you're rocking a pair of these and you get caught in the rain, it doesn't matter. You're still cool, stylish, comfortable, and most importantly, dry. Go check out all of Vessi's stuff, including the Courtside Classic. They have a bunch of fun stuff. So if you want to check it out, all you got to do is click the link in the description down below, or head to vessi.com/gameranx. When you're there, you can get 15% off your first purchase. There's also a QR code on screen here you can click. So once again, that's vessi.com/gameranx for 15% off your first purchase. And big thanks to Vessi for sponsoring this video. Also, oh man, if you want to talk about a game I wish I had time to play more, it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I got to jump into this and I got to explore a massive city. So now the game is going to be divided into 2 maps you load into that are like the size of the original game. So one is very like, it has mountains and nature and all this stuff. The other one has some nature and then surrounding towns and a massive, massive city in the middle of it. And I got to explore this city and go through a quest, and I really got to see how these quests can branch and how you have a lot of freedom to approach them. There's a part where you need to sneak in somewhere and steal something, and if somebody sees you while you're sneaking, that will affect how other characters react to you further down the quest, and whether or not you maybe get a little bit of an advantage or not. So I got to see the dialogue system, the choices you make. It feels very Kingdom Come Deliverance, but a little bit nicer looking, a little bit more streamlined. Not streamlined in terms of dumbed down. Like, I got to play a little bit of combat very, very briefly. It seems a little bit smoother, but still very much that type of combat. If you've played the original, it is challenging. But seeing the different choices and where it could actually go in just one singular mission in this big, gorgeous city was really impressive. And when I wrapped it up, the developer informed me that that was actually a side quest, which totally threw me for a loop because it felt like a main quest. There was story, characters, cutscenes, good writing, and like I said, those branching paths. So I am very, very keen to see more of this game. At the very least, I can probably safely say that, like, if you are a fan of the original and you're keeping an eye on this, yes, it is very much more of what you like. I also got to play a bunch of Avowed. Now, some of this gameplay is floating around out there. Some of the most recent gameplay that dropped is part of the sequence I played. And this is another thing where this was technically a big, long, branching side quest, but it really felt like a main quest in terms of the enemy encounters, some of the dialogue and conversation options. In terms of combat, it is very action-oriented. It's very blasty-blasty or slashy-slashy. Switching between two different sets of dual wielding is actually really compelling. It can make for a lot of fun. I played as a mage, and then I played as a barbarian a little bit to get a feel for the melee. It does feel like an Obsidian Skyrim type of thing. So for me, the jury is out really on whether or not the world will grip me, the characters and stuff. I wasn't like a big Pillars of Eternity person, even though I like Deadfire, but like, I don't know here. I did get some dialogue and some interesting character stuff that does feel like it has that Obsidian magic, but I still am not totally sure about this one. I need to spend way, way more time with it. But at the very least, I do think it played and just felt overall just better than how the trailers make it look. That being said, we do know it's now been revealed that the console version of the game will run at 30 frames per second. I played on PC, so I didn't have that issue with this work-in-progress version, but yeah, 30 frames per second on a first-person combat game, that's... good luck with that. Next up, some small updates on Gamescom things from Opening Night Live, just some things that came out later. The first is about Dying Light: The Beast. If you missed this, and we mentioned in our other video, this is a new Dying Light game. It's a bit of a smaller experience. It's not a massive open world thing, but it's more of a contained map and adventure with Kyle Crane, the guy from the original Dying Light. I like Dying Light 1 a bit more than 2, so I'm pretty into this move, but we now know that this actually originally could have been DLC. According to the developers in an interview with Games Radar, players had kind of dug and found this information, and they got to it very quickly and were very excited about it, leading to the developers who were just kind of thinking, yeah, maybe a DLC down the line, to have some meetings and go, what if we made this a game? So I think that's good. I'm curious to see whether or not that's like indicative of a final product. Is it going to feel like DLC or its own thing? But still, that's cool. I'm glad this is getting its own game. It sounds right up my alley. The developers also talked about how they're just bringing back a bit more of the feel of survival to it. So I am very interested. Also, if we're talking about updates from announcements and stuff, Civilization 7 got a gameplay reveal at Gamescom. Very happy to see that. I love Civilization games. I've been I would say I'm like a hardcore casual enjoyer, if that makes sense, for many, many years now. But Civ 7 is doing some things different. It's definitely tweaking the formula quite a bit. I think some fans are kind of divided on it, but we now kind of know why the developers are making some of these changes and tweaks to the formula. GameDeveloper.com had a really interesting interview with the developers here where, believe it or not, according to their data, less than 50% of players actually finished their playthroughs in Civ 6, the previous game. They said, quote unquote, that was depressingly low. So they went back to the drawing board and figured out how to incentivize and encourage players to play through completely. Some of the changes I think are interesting. Either way, these games have kind of always tweaked things a little bit and, experimented. So I'm into them experimenting more here, but we're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to get our hands on it and judge it for ourselves. But if you want to read that or any of this, anything I talk about, of course, linked in the description down below. You ever just not sleep? Oh, man. Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay. Next up, some things I linked if you want to check it out. If you're looking for another kind of action Souls-like thing from an Asian territory. This is Wuchang Fallen Feathers, if I'm pronouncing that right. This is a gameplay overview. If you're looking for another one of these types of games to keep your eye on, here you go. Also, Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 last week had a round of previews. Some members of the media, journalists, content creators got their hands on the Silent Hill 2 remake from Bloober Team. And the overall sentiment from many of them are, hey, this didn't look very good in the trailers, but actually it's shaping up to be surprisingly good. Now, I'm still going to wait until I actually see the final game, but at the very least, it helps to hear that a little bit, because I've said this publicly on this show, on my channel, that after seeing some trailers and some gameplay and stuff, I was skeptical. I don't know. I was pretty nervous about this one, but sentiment is starting to rumble towards sort of positive. Again, a preview only goes so far. We have to see judgments of the full final game. But along with that, and why I'm bringing this up, is the fact that we now have 26 minutes of straight gameplay footage for the game. No commentary, anything like that. So you can fire it up and check it out for yourself. I will say that this footage is the beginning of the game. It's essentially pretty much the intro, which is absolutely iconic from the original game. And I think it's something worth experiencing, like actually experiencing for yourself and playing. But if you're still on the fence or you're just curious, do whatever you want. It's linked in the description. Also, oh shit, it wouldn't be a week if we didn't have a delay. We almost got through a whole show, but this time it's Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. They were really gunning for releasing this fall holiday season, and that is not the case. It's now delayed, and it is expected for the first half of 2025. I didn't really expect this to release this year at this point. This game has gone through such a turbulent and long development cycle, very convoluted in a lot of ways. Look it up. But I'm glad it's coming eventually. I'd even say first half of 2025. Take all the time you need. If it needs longer than that, whatever. I just want more vampire games, but I'm not in a rush. I want them to be good. So, yeah. Also, shout out to some of you guys who sent me this story on social media. I really appreciate it. We're going to end on an interesting and more positive note. This is from nature.com, who is reporting a scientific study, some research results from Nature Human Behavior, where it turns out maybe playing video games can make us feel a little better. Yes, this was a study conducted during COVID-19 and like the early days of the pandemic, when people either didn't have jobs anymore, or they were isolated, or just like the fact that like we didn't know what the hell was going on. A lot of people's mental states were at an all-time low. Even if you had a job, your job was probably a little bit weirder. I know mine definitely was, but this study was actually conducted from December 2020 to March 2022. This is a Japanese study that, according to nature.com, they found that even just owning a game console increased life satisfaction and reduced psychological distress. You heard it here. Video games improve mental health. Who's laughing now? Mom, I told you I could play video games. This is good. Video games may or may not be good for you. Now, I am not like super deep or in-depth with like, I don't even understand how the human brain works, but also I don't understand how some studies and research work. So I don't know how much legs this does really have, but either way, it's positive. So I figured I'd share it. Video games might help our mental health a little bit. Love to see it. But I think that's a good place to end. I gotta get back to work. More things to see here at Gamescom, but I definitely want to know what you guys think in the comments. Black State, the game. How do you feel about it? Are you a little skeptical of the actual charm of the game? I think the graphics look great, but I need to know more. I need to see the game's juice, the game's sauce, you know? And again, if Capcom is gonna bring back some old games, what would you want to see? Are you one of the people playing Black Myth Wukong? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you just hate video games? Because sometimes I see that in comments. But yes, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the Gamescom stuff. If you have any more questions about some of the stuff I said I played here on the show floor, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Jake Baldino. Just search my name. I'll pop up somewhere. But yeah, let me know what you think about Silent Hill 2. Everything, all the new stuff we talked about this week. Hit me up. We're in the comments as much as possible, but things get a little crazy, so thank you for being in there. Clicking the like button does help us, because we're here every Friday. Again, let us know what you think, and thank you for being here and getting caught up on the news. You know we're here every Friday. I never miss, so all you gotta do to throw me a bone is click the like button. Thank you. But with that, all I ask of you really besides that is have a great weekend, be safe, pizza's on me. I am jet lagged, man. See you guys.